Welcome back to FBU Radio. Today we're going to talk about your niche and particularly how to realize when you need to change your niche and then how to go about changing it and that transition period, which is what a lot of coaches do. We talk about niches until the cows come home, and it's one of the things that still surprises me to this day when we get coaches come in that are quite established and have been in the game for a while and they're like, I've still not really nailed this down. So hopefully this podcast will help you kind of make some decisions basically for yourself that you can go forward with and have some implementable stuff. We've got Reese on today, he's our CEO coach, and we've got Stu on, who's one of our closers. The reason why we've got these two, obviously Reese is CEO coach who deals with this all the time. Stu has to close, well, not anymore because he works for us, but like previously Stu has had to close people for people, who maybe don't understand the niche very well, or they may be working in the wrong niche. So he's in the firing line of the objections that people get when the niche isn't quite right. So first of all, I think the question I'm going to put out to you is how to know when your niche isn't working. When do you make that decision?
When you're not converting.
Yeah, but like, how do you know it's your niche? How do you know it's your niche?
Like for me, the easiest way to look at your niche is I always start with my personal story. So I always start with who am I and what's my story, because I can relate and understand. And I think it's also, what do I enjoy and have that kind of burning desire for coaching? Like for me, for instance, if I was to coach mothers, I don't relate to mothers. I don't understand mothers when they have it. Like, it's just not something that we go, right, I'm getting out of bed tomorrow to coach mothers, right? But, like for instance, the audience I coach, the reason I coach my type of audience is because I was my type of audience. So my personal story really relates. And I think when we're looking at finding a niche or establishing a niche, I would generally start with what's my own personal story for me.
Yeah, true. I think that goes into like, you always see people talking about, here's the 10 most profitable niches. Here's how to discover the most profitable niches. The most profitable niche is the one that you can draw your experience from. Yeah. Because so this is a conversation I always get on sales calls. I want to work with high flying CEOs because, everyone assumes they've got the money to spend, yada, yada. Okay, are you one? No. Okay. Have you ever had a conversation with one? Like, do you work with them in person? No. Is anyone in your family a high-flying CEO? Have you got any interaction with these people? No. So how are you going to have that conversation with them? How are you going to create content? How are you going to, so how are you going to do any of that type of stuff? So finding your niches, like you're saying there, what are you? Who are you personally, or what experiences have you got from it? That's because you're going to have a clearer understanding. You're going to understand the ins and outs of that person, the pain points, the inspirations, everything. So discover a bit about yourself first to then eventually find your niche is what I think.
I think that's, so red flags for me when I'm like, and I don't like to do this often, you've got to be really careful with telling people to change the niche.
Yeah.
Because there's a phenomenon called niche hopping, which is a coach will continuously blame their niche for the reason why things aren't working. It's not. It's the coach.
Yeah.
And they'll jump from niche to niche, hoping to find this, Prince Charming niche that's going to sweep them off the feet and save the business forever. Yeah. So just taking that in mind to avoid that, here's some red flags that I find with niches. They struggle to create content because they don't know what to say. Yeah. That to me is an immediate red flag, because you should literally just be able to draw off your own history or your prior knowledge of what's needed. Getting backlash on your content is usually the sign of a wrong niche. So we had a client that came to us from another business coaching program who was working with mums. Don't know why. I think it was because he was a bit of a soft personality or something like that, but he was mainly working with mums. Holy fuck. Every time he put any kind of post out about women or mothers' problems, what the fuck do you know about mothers? What do you know about women? You're fucking like getting attacked badly. We changed his niche from mothers to parents. Okay, subtle language change. Stop talking about women's issues. Start talking about family issues as a whole. Yeah. And this is going to sound bullshit, but shit, you're not. 8 weeks went from $1,000 a month to 10 grand a month immediately, because he was doing all the right things, but it was directed in the wrong manner. So if you find you get a lot of like sarky backlash comments, and it's not from ads, it's from your actual own audience, either you need to maybe dig in and hope that you've got some of your audience. If you're having arguments in your inbox, it's like, if you're having conflict of your audience, if your audience are arguing in your inbox, it's kind of fine because some of them don't like you, but some of them do. So it's cool. But like, you will get, you will notice. Okay.
Yeah.
So if someone's content isn't landing, or someone's getting a lot of backlash in their comments, that's when I find that the niche needs to change. And also, if their program's quite boring and generic, it tells me that they don't understand. Like, I want to listen to someone tell me about their program, and I want to be like, that's really cool. That really makes sense for that kind of audience. Like, and that wouldn't work for everyone.
Yeah.
But that's a really cool little wrinkle that I think is really useful. That to me then is that's a good niche, because you've been able to build the program around the key problems of that audience. If you can't do that, and I always find when people struggle with their offer, it's because they're struggling with the niche.
Yeah.
Like one of the things that obviously we do when we build our coaching programs, I sit down and I put my I'm a personal trainer that wants to go online and make more money hat on, and I'm like, what would I really want out of this? Like, what kind of things would I want?
I think the only other red flag that I would add to it as well is if you can't get results with your niche.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that have a niche they're working with, but they can't get a result with that niche as well.
Yeah.
And like, for instance, if you're wanting to work with, as you said, Stu, high flying CEOs, but you've got no experience or relatability, and that CEO comes to you and go, I'm not getting results, but my stress is through the roof. I've got no time in a day. And you're thinking, fuck, have you tried anything? I don't know what to do with
Get
it.
more steps.
I can't get your results. I think another red flag I'd add is actually being the ability to get results with the niche you're working with.
I see that one less, I'm going to be honest, because I think what coaches get drawn into, and I think what the industry-wide problem is I can coach them, so I'm going to coach them. Who do you want to work with? Well, actually, I'm pretty fucking good, right? Like anyone. Give me anyone. I'll lick the fat off, not physically, but like, I'll get the fat off them straight. I can get anyone in shape. My skill set is massive. And you're like, well, and that's, again, when people go and do like over-educate themselves at the start of journeys. So they're like, I'm an expert in biomechanics and like performance nutrition. I'm also an expert in behavior change and weight loss. And I'm like, cool, you've literally gone and built like the fattest arsenal of different skill sets possibly can. But it's confused you, because now you've got loads of weapons, but like you only need one, a really good one. It's almost like Netflix. You know, like when you're just scrolling through and you're like, there's too much.
Too much options.
Jack of all trades, master of none.
Yeah. And I think that's a conversation that a lot of coaches need to have with themselves, because when they come from the gym, to be honest, they've worked with loads of different people.
Yeah.
So you do develop the skill set to work with them, but it's like, A, who do you do your best work with? And B, who's the most likely to listen to you? Who have you got the most credibility with?
That's the one.
Because you might have coached a high flying CEO, but that high flying CEO might have just worked with you because you were available at 4 p.m. on a Tuesday. It doesn't mean that you've got the best skill set to deal with them. And when you go online, it's a bit of a Shark Tank. Not to put anyone off doing it, but like, you've got to be good to stand out, because when you're in a gym, and this isn't to belittle certain gyms, don't take this the wrong way. When you're in a gym, you only have to be the best trainer in that gym, which is 1 out of 10.
Or the happiest.
All the most. But yeah, best is a relative, like best at marketing, best at chatting to people, best at building relationships. And even then, you don't need to be the best, because the best is usually full. You just need to pick up the scraps. You just need to be good enough.
Be number 2.
Good enough and available enough to pick up all the bits. Yeah, number 2s are great. It's like reserve goalkeeper. Best position ever. Still get paid and you don't have to do all the graft. But it's easier. And it can lure you into a false sense of security of like, I'm really good.
I could work with anyone.
Yeah, I can work with anyone because I can relate to anyone. But then when you put you in like, when you go online, the people that are looking for an online coach have the ability to pick the best of the best.
Yeah.
Like if take bodybuilding, for example, right? If you're a local bodybuilding coach, you only have to be the best bodybuilding coach in your local area, which smaller pool, less people, less competition. When you go online, the people that are looking for an online bodybuilding coach have access to the best coaches in the world.
Absolutely.
So unless you're going to fight up that ladder, there might be a better scenario where you stand out more. So one of the things that we've actually done with people before is and again, this is taking that specific niche, but it's one that people struggle with. When they come into the bodybuilding coaching side of things, they're like, well, I work with bodybuilders. And I'm like, yeah, but like people can work with like Milo Sarasev for the same price as what you need to charge. Why are they going to use you? And they can't answer that question. And when they can't answer that question, that's the problem. So we've had people like delve a little bit deeper, right? And go into like, well, I'm a posing expert and I work specifically with first timers. Now, the pool gets smaller, to be fair, but not so it actually benefits them because they're like, I'm better for a first timer because I've got more time for you. It's less robotic, and understand that you're going to worry, and that's going to be trivial for an Olympia level coach because they're used to working with like laser focused athletes. And also because you're newer, you're going to need loads of posing practice because you've never done it before. And if you go and get posing coaching on top of your coaching twice a week, that's going to get really expensive. I can do it in one package for you that's specific to you. And like, we've got a client, I won't embarrass her by saying a name, but like she was struggling. She got told by another business coach to basically charge £100 because she just wasn't good enough. Like, you're not going to compete with the big boys, so you need to undercut them. And I was like, you're going to make literally no money. Like, you're going to graft yourself to the bone and come out with a job. You might as well go work at Tesco. It's less stress. Now she's full doing like 6-7K a month because she cracked that. That's what she did. She just pivoted and instead of changing a niche, she actually just got deeper into the niche and found where her bit was.
It overcomes one of the main issues is price comparison. Because if you end up in that pool, well, you know, if it's me, you know, I'm a bodybuilder coach and I'm going to help you get in shape, I'm going to do all this, and I'm posting probably the same type of content because I'm in this similar niche to this guy over here, and you're going to book in a call with the two, you're going to go with him because he's cheaper. Well, you can price compare.
I think it gives you
there's too many options in the market then, isn't there?
It gives you the leverage. Like if you're on a sales call and you get an objection, right? And you're trying to find, someone goes, it's too expensive, and you're trying to find out exactly what they're comparing it to. Comparing it to this. Oh, fucking hell, to be fair to you, mate. Yeah, you're right. That one is much better. But like,
and sometimes it happens.
You
can't pretend that it doesn't. There are coaches out there that charge fuck all that are really good.
You
just got to hope that they get full, and then the service goes off the edge of the cliff.
Well,
and that's where you
marketers,
swoop in.
no one knows about them.
In that specific niche, though, I think one of the main issues that I've seen come up is that like some of the IFBB pros are charging £100 a month. So how's your local bodybuilder going to charge 150, 200 type of scenarios when then the guy with the badge can charge less? You know what I mean?
But that's when you've got to look at where your benefit is. And coaches are really bad at that. Coaches are really, because they don't want to tear someone else down. And I agree with that. But you've got to be able to leverage your strengths. And that's what people get wrong. Instead of leveraging their own strengths, they just try and batter other people's weaknesses. And there's a balance to be had. But if you go all one way, it's like, well, what value have you got to add to this other than their shit? Like, because they're going to believe, again, it's reputation. If you call someone else shit, but everyone knows they're really good, it's going to make you look like an absolute weapon. You need to think about the specifics. If someone's an IFBB, and this is me going off the top of my head, right? If someone's a current IFBB pro and they're like, why am I not doing that? I'd be like, okay, well, I'm not currently competing because I'm focusing on my clients. I have competed. This is how I understand you, but I'm not going to compete. Meaning that when it gets to the depth of the season and that bodybuilder's absolutely caked out of their head on a load of fucking steroids, is irritable with you, doesn't want to talk to you, they go off the radar 2 weeks before their own show and they forget you, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to be there. And I'm not saying they will do that, but that's just that's what could happen. And they'll know that they get tired and irritable towards a show or something like that. So it's about just playing your strengths off. Like, this could happen. Here, that's definitely not going to happen. I've put these things in place to make sure that you've got the care and attention that you need. And, you know, if your show ends up on the week where I only coach one competitor per show, for example, so I'm not prepping your competition or I've not got such a wide client base that I'm spread too thin on the weekends where there's multiple shows and I can't show up to yours, or I guarantee you that I will be there. I will be there for you. And again, if you want to succeed in a niche, you've got to have those things where you can be like, I'll go above and beyond. I'll do this. I'll do that.
Absolutely. Yeah. I agree.
Another one of them have taken it slightly deeper, like going from a more generalized niche to literally a language change. So there's someone that we signed up a couple of weeks ago, and we were talking, and she mentioned that she worked with mums, and I was like, okay, you know, we get that a lot of type of things. And then she was like, but specifically single mums. And straight away I was like, okay, you're going to wind up the right people because you're using the language of single mums. Yeah, but the problems are the same with, mum, parent, two parent family type of things. Yeah, but I'm only talking to the problems of single mums, do you know what I mean? And straight away it was like, you can't get price compared now because there's nobody. You could scroll for 3 hours and you'd never find someone talking about just single mums. It's always parents, mums, and whatever. So,
but that single mum that is sitting there thinking, "Fucking hell, do you know what? I want to find someone, or I want to."
They're
only going to go to the single mum.
That language changes.
Right?
They're
it
not
makes
see
a world of a
else.
difference. Like I had a call with somebody on a program not too long ago, and even just changing the way he talks and his tonality and like being more him. His tonality, the words he uses. He's talk like when you're scrolling through. Like I always say to people, like notice when you're scrolling, pay attention to what makes you stop. Or what makes you actually pay attention. And when you're talking and you're perking the ears of your specific niche, they're going to stop depending on your language, on your tonality, the things that you're doing. And if you're just talking completely out to completely generalized information, to generalized people, like on social media, watch it, you do this. And if you're watching on the YouTube, you're just scrolling. What's going to make that person stop? It's going to be you speaking specifically to that person in that niche. Otherwise, they're just going to fucking scroll for days and they won't stop on your content and you won't convert.
I saw a really good post of something like this. And it's even just your personality, right? That if you have the right kind of personality for the audience, it works really well. So there's a PT that I follow called Paul. I'm not going to butcher his surname. I think it's called like Standell or something like that. And he runs a biomechanics course or something along those lines. I've not looked too much into it because I did biomechanics at university and doing another biomechanics course. That I've already paid $9,000 for, probably make me sick and I don't want to do it. And it has no benefit for me on top of that. But the people who study biomechanics and want to study biomechanics are generally going to be a little bit quirky. They're going to like maths. And I'm not trying to throw them all on the same boat here, but like you can imagine the kind of person that I'm talking about. He did a 2-minute reel the other day talking about a Greek mythology story. All right. And he was and you could tell he was fucking dead excited about it. And you can just tell that the personality type, it matches so perfectly.
That's what's going to drag everyone.
And people are going to be like, there are tons of biomechanic courses nowadays, right? Taught by old, boring, maths-based people. But the people that get dead excited about biomechanics are the people that get dead excited about old history and they get dead excited about stuff that you learned in school. Like they were the kids that like go home and like read about the book and come back in. And I was a teacher, so I get it. Like, sir, I read this last night. And I was like, I watched it. It was Champions League last night. Did you watch that program last night? I'm like, nah, I didn't. I watched us got knocked out of the Champions League again. But you get it, and you can just see where that would work with this audience. And I would be, I don't know whether he is successful. I would be so surprised if he isn't. Because me looking at that, I'm like, it's perfectly aligned with the audience. The single mum stuff, I'd be making jokes about deadbeat dads and child support and all that kind of stuff. And
you could have so much fun with it.
Why it's so hard for single mums. It's hard for parents, but I would be flying the flag of this is why it's harder for single mums. This is why no one understands you. You don't get the respect you deserve. You've got to fly the flag. Like, this is why we get so many people that work with us, because we fly the flag for personal trainers. I was that kid. I literally once had a girl say to me, I don't date personal trainers. Why? Because you're all scumbags and you try and shag your clients. And I was like,
you got a fucking point.
No, but I was like, and I'd come from being a teacher. So the response like that I used to get way before that was like, oh my God, you're a science teacher. Like, what? You're young? Because I was 21 at the time. Like, you're young for a science teacher. I'm like, yeah, I know. And going from, and it's not about getting girls, by the way, but like just going from that to like, I would, and I'm the same person, right? I would never date you because you've got a deadbeat job and all you're trying to do is shag your clients. And I'm like, I'm making more money now than I was as a teacher. But like that. And then when you get introduced to like someone's parents and they're like, oh, he's a personal trainer. I'm like, right, that'll last. And like little things like that, or walk into a car show and, oh, what you doing with a personal trainer? I'll take you to the Ford Escorts. Come on, lad, get out of the Mercedes bit. You're not for it. Oh, you sell drugs then? Oh, fair enough. But like all those things, I dealt with that. And I get it. And I get when people like, I've told the story before about my mum getting dead upset when I left teaching. I get it. I understand it. Like, and that's what we want to change about the industry. We want to make it a credible, not that it's not credible now, but we want to increase those levels. We want people to look at it as a proper career path where people aren't going to be like, all right, you're just going to take the piss until you get a real job.
I think a simple analogy for that is if you get them, you get them.
Yeah, but that's it. And we connect with people that way. And that's why we luckily get clients that really fucking try hard. Like 90% of our clients fucking graft.
Well, a lot of people, so they'll ask, like, What is it that, what is it that makes people get results? Because I mean, some of the results they get pumped out, they're doing stupid things like 0 to 5K in 3 weeks. Okay, it's not typical, but how are they doing that? And I'm like, there's no special skills. They just genuinely understand their niche, and then it's the hard work from that. I couldn't tell you anything else other than they just have the capacity to do what they're told repetitively.
They trust us
every day, and the trust as well. Yeah,
and that's because we market for what we want. And we get good clients, and that's the same with coaches as well. Like if you're getting like poor quality clients, not that you can't get results with them, like technical wise, but if you're getting unmotivated, problematic clients, it's because either you're marketing wrong, which means you've got the wrong niche, like you market into people with the wrong mentality. I think positive marketing gets you positive clients, negative marketing, and I'm watching other businesses that do this, and I'm like,
100%.
You're about to be in a world of problems. You'll make some money right now, see you in 3 years when you've had a mental breakdown.
Yeah.
It's actually like, I don't think I've taken or even had a sales call with somebody who is a miserable fucking just is it like, because I work with people who are very ambitious, just generally because of the nature of what they do. I don't think I've had a single sales call or anything or a conversation with somebody who isn't pretty much the same as me.
Now, were you always that way in your career?
Hell no.
What's outside of the financial capabilities of your business, because they'll all pay you the same, right? What's the day-to-day difference like of how much that you actually want to do the work and you want to show up and you want to get on client calls and you want to
10 million times.
And that's what people don't understand either, is if you've got the wrong niche, even if you are making sales, which I've never had someone come and be like, I'm doing 40 grand a month, but I hate my niche. You never get there because
you never get there if you
your goodwill runs out. But there's lots of coaches that are doing 2 or 3 grand that are like, I'm making ends meet. Like I'm, 2-3 grand is nothing to like, you're not going to die on 2 or 3 grand. You're not on the bread line. You're not comfortable, I wouldn't think either. But like, they don't want to let go of that. But then we're like, I'm literally watching you like deliver poor service, not want to. I don't even need to be in my DMs. We have a team of 3 setters. I still do it. I'll still be in there chatting to people when like I'm on a train or stuff like that, because I generally enjoy, like, I don't like going to expos because I don't really like expos, and I've been told that I've got to go this year. But once I'm there, I enjoy speaking to coaches. Like we've been in Dubai over last week. The amount of random online coaches that I spoke to there, and my best mates that like I went to college with were having a fucking party on the boat upstairs, and I'm sat down at the bottom of the boat chatting about online coaching for 2 hours when I should have been having a fucking yacht party. But it's because I genuinely enjoy the conversation. I like it. I like solving the problems, and I think as a coach, there's something to be said for that. And I've made that mistake before. Like not with all coaches, but like there's some coaches that have come to me and I've been like, that like athletes, for example, that's not a great niche, mate. But if you're truly passionate about it and you can find the right, you've got to be my job. Then what I've tried to learn is how to bend that into a niche that's profitable. So when people are like, I want to work with athletes, I'm like, all right, cool. You need to work with people that identify as an athlete. What that doesn't mean is you need to work with semi-pro footballers. What you might want to work with is people that like used to play football and now do power league.
My first niche
was it?
That was my issue. My very first niche was professional footballers, but I was
that all have a professional strength and conditioning.
I was so fucking busy for 2 months of the year. Outside, but do you know what? I think more than anything, it was feeding my ego. I literally just stepped out the game myself, so I wanted to do it. But
then there becomes an example of like making a niche work for you. So like with that, I'd say, right, it's not really viable.
No.
Because you're not a world-class strength and conditioning coach. Now, unfortunately...
It meant I had a different niche outside of that time as well, which just completely contradicted the two together.
But like so this is another niche that people struggle with because they want to do sports performance. They want to do strength and conditioning. I went to uni to do strength and that's what I wanted to do when I left uni. And then I realized I was like, oh, you don't get paid for the first 5 years.
No,
but there's loads of niches that you could work with that solve the same problems. So like, there's lots of people that played sport that like, take the CEOs, for example. CEOs can make money, right? But everyone that has like a high level job can afford to pay for personal training. But there's a large portion of them that love playing Power League, playing Power League, right?
Yeah.
And that would allow you to work with people that want to do football style training, want to do S&C, like really care about it, but it's also going to be a year-round thing for them, and you've got to handle so. Just because you've got a passion for a certain niche, it might not work for a certain corner of that niche. You've got to really think about how you can move it around. So like for those kind of people, I would be like, right, there's definitely the sports performance element to it, but now I've got to work it around actually having a job and probably having children. So how do we work all those three together? If you do that, that's, you know, there's a massive amount of those people that do that, but also you're the specialist at doing that. They're not going to go and work with the most famous strength and conditioning coach on the internet, because they're going to go, right, bro, what I need you to do is get up and you've got to do 45 minutes of mobility. Then you've got your plyometric session at lunch. Then eat 400 grams of carbohydrates, exactly.
On the dot.
White rice.
On the dot,
Pre-workout meal.
Pre-workout.
Okay.
Post,
And then you're going to be like, oh, this won't work for me. I wish it did. I'd love to fucking just retire.
Yeah.
Like things like golf, but I think golf's such a massive niche, and I don't know many people.
It
that
is
are
a good
smashing
niche.
It's
it.
just trying to find your angle though again, isn't it?
And again, that's it. So like people don't understand with transitioning a niche that you don't always have to change your niche. You sometimes just have to go at it from a different angle.
Yeah, for sure.
There's a lot of times, because again, like I get to have conversations about niches all the time, because we ask, you know,
I bet it's one of the first
what
things,
is your target market, or who is it that you actually genuinely want to work with? And you can tell in the way that their body language is and the way that they talk about it. And I'll have to ask the question, like, is this a niche that you actually want to work in, or do you feel it's one that you can earn money in? Like, is that what's happening, you know, right now? And half the time it's like, I would really like to work with XYZ, but I'm kind of stuck. It's like, well, that's not actually that far away. We might just need to tweak certain elements of it so that we can actually then have a really good offer that matches it, that speaks to those. Right now, it's a bit broad because you're actually not super happy with it. You know, you feel like you're pigeonholed or you're stuck in a certain scenario. So it's like one of the easiest ones is like, I work with men and I work with women. So I don't want to single one out because I'm missing, 50% of the market. Then it's like, okay, but how much would it make sense for you to then actually only specifically work with one of them? Or can we find a way to combine, what's it going to be? And that's what you've got to work out. But yeah, it's one of them. You get pigeonholed, or you find yourself in a place where you don't necessarily enjoy it. You've got to figure it out.
Yeah.
Because otherwise everything just dries up.
And this is why people they don't. So people get talked to about demographics.
Yeah.
And they're like, what's your demographic? Is it 25 to 35-year-old males? And you're like, right, Josh, you're the same age as me, right?
Yeah.
We couldn't be any fucking different. I'm here kitted out in Stone Island. I've got my neck tattooed. He's rolled his fucking jeans up about 4 inches from his pants and he's wearing a flannel shirt. If I saw him in Top Man, I'd be like straight away that he's where he's supposed to be. Top Man, Cortina's concert. Yeah. Cortina's concert.
He's probably got that on his eye and it's Spotify now.
He's at a spot.
I'm at a drill gig with a bally on and a stab proof. No, I'm not joking. But we, demographic wise, me and Stu, very similar demographic wise, probably actually closer to a psychographic than that's what you need to think about with niches. It's about a psychographic.
It's not just gender and age.
It's like values and attitudes and desires and struggles. I've just made that up off the top of my head. That's not a list I've reeled out, but I think if you could focus on those 4 things, you'd probably be in a much better position. Values, attitudes, desires, and struggles. If you can find a group of people that have all of those things, doesn't matter whether they've got a cock or not, it doesn't matter how old they are, like you will find people that
100%.
that share your passion for what you want to do. So that to me, I think is the component. If you're currently working with a demographic, which is like 24-year-old men from England,
it's a fair few of them.
There's a lot of different ones. You could go into a high school at age of 16 and just get all the boys. They're all the same age. They're all the same gender. And then you just look at them and you're like, you can see the groups of them clumping together. And
I feel like something like that people should probably understand is like, take Lamborghini, for instance. Somebody asked Lamborghini.
That's the start of a proper fitness business wanker thing.
Should have started.
Take Lamborghini, right?
No, listen to this, right? Someone asked Lamborghini, why do they not make ads on TV? And they replied, because our target audience don't sit there watching TV.
They will now. Guess where they are? YouTube,
Yeah.
you crypto millionaires, e-commerce
All
business
on YouTube,
owners.
yeah.
We're the new breed of Lamborghini owners. I don't watch
To
TV.
be fair, this was a long time ago, but if that Success leaves clues, right? If they're fucking looking for a target audience for the last 25, 30 years.
Oh no, I agree.
It's not like it's we're not trying to reinvent the wheel by saying create a target market, because why not? Let's try something new. It's because it fucking works.
Yeah.
And that's where you've got to know like where to be as well. Like when we do the content area of our course, like we know that the majority of our coaches would work with the majority of their clients are generally on Instagram.
Yeah.
However, we do have a set of like stuff for Facebook, because if you come to us and you've got a target audience over the age of 35 to 40, Facebook doesn't work. It does if that's your niche. Look at like Nikki, for example.
Yeah.
Instagram, it's all right. His Facebook murders it.
Yeah.
Absolutely murders it.
It's
He has like
hilarious,
30 comments in his things. Like Maya, younger, TikTok
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah.
batters it. Hundreds of comments on TikTok videos, because that's where her audience feel comfortable speaking to her.
Yeah.
Now you've got to circumnavigate. There's not many issues. That's why we teach the core basics, right? But it bleeds in every kind of situation. Like
agreed.
for us, you know, when I'm thinking about personal trainers and online coaches and where they go, I know the clicky. So the best kind of marketing for personal trainers is other personal trainers.
Yeah.
Like we've got to get into other things that they like and they trust. There's no point us doing influencer shout outs, because they're a bit coy to it. They'll know why people are doing it. So we've got to work around that, and you've got to be clever with the way that you do your marketing. And that's it with your niche as well. Like your niche will dictate what angles of marketing that you take, because you've got to think about, and again, you've got to think about the understanding level. There's a better word than that, but I'm gonna go with it.
Understanding level.
The understanding level of your audience. If you don't know what that means, I'm sorry, but like
There'll be a
that's
term for it
spoken
somewhere,
in like
to be
plain
honest.
idiot terms. How much your audience understand, right? If I'm trying to, and I'm going to use, right, I'll use a fitness example because it's probably what more people understand.
Yeah.
Fitness example. You will see coaches going like, you'll see business mentors, especially going like, nobody cares about the angle of your chest fibers. Some people do.
Some people do.
Yeah.
Some people do. There is a 19-year-old kid that studied every fucking thing on Reddit that's ever been posted about fitness. And if you go with Reddit level knowledge, he's going to be like, bro, why would I pay you? I'll get this for free from Reddit. You've got to offer a level of understanding that's a little bit above, and they go, oh, that's fucking great for that. Right, I'm going to pay this guy. If you do that correctly, Debbie from fucking Asda, she's going to be like, the pectoral fiber, what?
Yeah.
I
And
didn't
that's where
even
you have
get,
to
not that people from
understand
Asda
it,
don't have BTEX, but like, you know,
Yeah.
they're gonna struggle to understand the terminology of what you're
I
talking
think
about.
more, even beyond that, they wouldn't give a fuck about it.
Yeah.
No,
Not many
that's
people
it.
do.
It wouldn't, but it would do for. So if you're like, again, going back to the bodybuilder scenario, if you're trying to target bodybuilders, you talk about calorie deficits, they're going to be like,
Cheers.
bro, eat less. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah,
I do
yeah.
that for free. If you go, this is the kind of diet that you would want 3 weeks out in order to minimize water retention. That's going to get all the serious trainers, because that's going to get bodybuilders. It's going to get lads that are going on holiday. Like if you're already pretty lean and you're like, how do I crisp this up for my profile picture?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you know, the people that
Absolutely.
are, so if you're aiming for you don't need to say in your bio, I work with intermediate to advanced lifters. You
wanna
need
grow
to
their
say it in
pectoral
your
fibers.
content. Yeah. Again, who knows whether they're intermediate or advanced, by the way? Because I'd be like, am I advanced on a scale of like how advanced I could be?
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know where I fit. And then I'm confused and I'm like, I don't like you. You're confusing me. But if you talk at a level, if you want to, you know, target intermediate level trainers, talk at an intermediate level,
100%.
play the game, be like, listen, I know you know about calorie deficits, but are you aware that your training performance might be suffering because you're not doing this? Shift your content to that level of understanding.
Yeah.
And that's another thing that I think maybe you can, when people look at niches, that's another wrinkle that's in there that maybe they don't particularly think about.
Yeah.
They don't think about the level of understanding of their audience.
I
And-
think people that are listening should just do their research. Look at coaches that are fucking crushing it. Look at how they talk to their niche as well.
also do real market research.
Yeah.
With the rebuild of our program, we've got a whole unit on, you need to do all this market research on your audience.
Yeah.
So you can show this to your coach that you actually understand what the fuck you're about to talk
It's like
about.
when I market as well, like you won't see me talk about all those signs. Like I simplify everything. I'll talk about stress management. I'll talk about being present with their family. I'll talk about authority in meetings. Like I wouldn't go, like for instance, my audience, if I start talking about pectoral muscle fibers, they're going to think I couldn't give a flying fuck. I just want to make more money when I'm in my next meeting.
But that's specific to you, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So when people give generic advice about like, again, people don't want to see quick recipes.
Some people
Mums
do.
that are fucking short on time do.
Yeah,
That's one of their main struggles is they
Quite
don't
fucking
know.
enjoying them myself. Actually.
Yeah,
I don't cook them, but
I sometimes, I never cook them.
Never cook them.
That looks great.
Bollocks to that. I've got
Since
so
I've been
many
on a
still
diet,
that-
I'm the
still
cunt
gonna
that
order a
actually does
takeaway.
cook them.
But
But I think it's like when you say about market research, like it's one of those things. It's another one of the basic. Every business, no matter what industry, has to do it.
apart from online coaching,
Apart from online
'Cause
coaches,
they just make it up.
and they think you can just kind of right. That's my niche, and I know everything about that
Pin the
niche
tail
now.
on the donkey
Yeah,
after you've
literally,
been
I
spun
know
around
everything
and had
about that
10
niche
shots.
now because I filled out some document that somebody gave me that said, what's their beliefs and values or how old are they? But it's like, if you take the only time I kind of think that narrowing down age ranges can really help is, say, for example, if it's you're talking about parents of some sort or even fellas or women, whatever, and let's say you're saying your range is 25 to 45, well, a 43-year-old woman, generally speaking, she's got to be careful. Generally speaking, has different feelings, experiences, and views on certain things than, say, a 25-year-old female
That is
might
one
have.
niche. I tell you what, when people coach like 40 plus, that's one niche that I find kills it.
I say that every time to
Kills
people
it.
on calls.
Yeah,
They're like, I'm
kills it.
48 and I work with 25. No, work with the 40 plus. There's nothing for them on Instagram. Be that person.
Does anyone know what percentage of divorcees there are? I don't see that either. That's a fucking great niche that's crying out for someone. 35 plus people in the dating world. Because there's so much fucking content that you can make about how shit it is.
You need,
and
you
how
need a
it's-
bit of a personality
Yeah.
and not really be asked about what to say.
But
on
you
that.
could, you could let, if someone pulls that out, like, this is why you need to get back in shape, like after your divorce to get back on the market. It would murder it.
Recently
Absolutely
single. I'm
murder it.
gonna go
'Cause you
break up
can't
my
go
missus to
Ocean
make more
Beach.
money now. Come on, babe, guess what?
Transition niches there.
We're over, so I can make more money.
50%? Right. That's half of all. So you're going like parents. There's a good niche there that's like,
Yeah.
Divorcees.
you need to get back in shape because you don't want to be. I'm not going to go
That
any further. You know what? On that point, we're going to end the podcast because this is descending into madness now.
We're all going to plan out a new niche here.
Yeah.
to
But also, I was going to get myself in trouble there. So hopefully that gives you a lot of insight into things that you need to think about with your niche, whether you are working in the right niche, whether you need to kind of go a bit further into your niche, and just some thoughts and principles. Okay. Now you can find us all on social media. Reese has got his own because he's cheeky and he won't change it. But to be fair, it would make no sense.
I was about to say, what says that meant? Talk
but-
about niching.
To be fair, people call me Stu and Stu Steve.
Yeah.
So it's either Stuart_FBU or Stu_FBU or the Fitness Business Uni page. If you've got any questions about niches and stuff like that, we're more than happy to help you. We've got a couple of training videos that we can fire over. So make sure you give us a follow on Instagram. Send us a message. Let us know you watched it. Ask any questions that you've got. And I'll see you next time.